Hi, everyone. I'm Chrissy Oberbach, DAA President this year, and welcome to Ford Day. I apologize for greeting you on video, but I'm in Indianapolis as my daughter is playing at regionals for the Little League World Series of softball. Hopefully everyone in the room can send some good juju to the team that's representing the state of Michigan. It's sure great to be back and have everyone together after the last year and a half with what we were dealt with COVID. It was definitely challenging, but I think we made the best of it, and we're really looking forward to the rest of the summer's DAA events. Many of you participated in the virtual DAA days last winter, which was our way of keeping the membership engaged during the pandemic. Today, we're getting closer to the real thing. So first off, I'd like to give a special shout out and thank you to DAA's Planning Committee, Susan Bienenbach, Paul Malin, and our tech guru, Jeff Cater. We could not do this without you. Before we get into our program, we need to do a little housekeeping. First and foremost, we'd like to say thank you to our sponsors. There will be plenty of fun stuff out on the course today, thanks to Adelphic, our title sponsor, Adherent, Dish Media, Savio, Ad Marketplace, Outfront Media, The Washington Post, Triple Lift, and Polk Automotive Solutions. Hang on to that little raffle ticket in your lunchbox because the Washington Post is today's lunch sponsor, and Pam Carlson will be giving away a nice prize at the end of this program. On the course, there will be many special competitions from our sponsors with prizes awarded at dinner. So please, everyone, hang out afterwards so you can see what those prizes are. The information is on the rule sheet on your golf cart. Anyone who makes a hole-in-one on 15 wins a 2-year lease for the Ford vehicle of your choice. It's $20 per person to be eligible, and every dollar goes to Ford's Warriors in Pink Breast Cancer Awareness Program. So when you get to 15, pony up that $20 for Ford and Warriors in Pink. DA members, you can also use your member number for the charitable donation, and the witnesses at 15 will have a list of your numbers just in case you don't have it memorized. You can also use your member number to charge refreshments all day. So again, if you're not sure of your number, check with Bob or Mary on your way out to the carts. So now let's get to the good stuff. Once again, welcome to Ford Day. Today would not be possible without the continued support and participation from our friends at Ford. I want to give a special thank you to both Jim Monak and Kelly Montgomery for hosting today's panel conversation. We hope you agree that having a pre-recorded panel is the next best thing to having everyone together in person. We're getting there slowly, but one day at a time. With that said, let's do this. Roll it, Jeff.
All right. Hello, Detroit ad community. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. I just want to recognize again that we're virtual. Unfortunately, Ford does not want us to get together in any type of sanctioned live events. If you thought Ford OGC legal was conservative, you should see our Fordland Health and Security team. So we have a virtual event for you today. I brought along a lot of my friends, and they're all smarter than me. In fact, I have to say they might be smarter than some of the panels that we had, the panels that we've had in the past too. I remember Mike Gallagher was on. These people are way more informed, and yeah, they just know, they have an idea of a lot more what's going on with the community and with Ford and Lincoln plans than Mike Gallagher does. So we are going to get right into it. I did want to introduce myself. My name is Kelly Montgomery. For those of you who don't know me, I am the head of global media partnerships on the global side, and I have my co-host with us today, Jim Monak.
Hey there. Thank you for having me. And I do want to take a minute to just thank Kelly because I hosted this last December by myself, and they said, we're never going to let you do that again by yourself. You need to find a co-host. So go find somebody who is far more entertaining than you to carry the load. So thank you, Kelly, for joining us on this as we come to everybody live. Actually, totally kidding. This is completely pre-recorded. But I am curious if we're going to be like set up on our own individual TVs throughout the golf outing, meaning like it'll just be like talking heads, literally sitting on chairs. And if that is the case, I would encourage everybody to please go ahead and have funny bodies underneath my head or whatever you want to do with the silly golf outfits and stuff like that. That would be Instagrammable, as the kids like to say nowadays, right? But yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us. Another virtual event. We've got everybody here. It's been a crazy year. Last year obviously was COVID. This year is the chip shortage. But we do want to thank everybody for coming out, driving to the event, parking your cars in those parking lots, because we actually have people in the parking lots right now stealing all of the microchips from your cars, because we're going to go put them in some of the cars that have been sitting on lots in Dearborn so that we can sell those. I'm totally kidding, obviously. All right. Do you want to meet the panel?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Let's meet. We'll just go a little round robin, like Brady Bunch style. All right. So to my right, left, I don't know. I see Darcy. Darcy, what do you do here?
Hi, everybody. Darcy Gurney, and I work on our brand content and alliances team. And I oversee all of our adventure vehicles, which obviously includes Bronco. So that's where a lot of the focus is right now. And then also our Proud to Honor military platform. So that includes partnerships, activations, events, all that good stuff.
Adventure is sort of synonymous with Darcy Gurney as well. If you don't follow Darcy on Instagram, we'll get to more of that in a little bit, but she is an amazing follow on the Instagram, without a doubt.
Cracked me up.
All right. Natalie, the only carryover, the only one that was here in December and willing to come back. So thank you for being a good friend, as you always have been.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm Natalie Cascaretta, Lincoln Media Manager, managing all of Lincoln's media from a national and local perspective. Fun fact is, last time in December, I was very pregnant, and now I have a 7-month-old son. So it is crazy to see how everything has changed so quickly, but it was definitely a lot of fun in December chatting with everyone, and I'm excited to do it again.
Awesome. And if we hear baby George, we'll just bring him into the mix.
Yes.
Bring him on in, right? All right. And some new faces, new to the Ford team, not new to the organization, though. We used to see Molly walking around the halls all the time. What's going on, Molly?
Thanks, Jim, and hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Molly Gwelly, and I am fresh off the Lincoln team, joining the Ford side, working on Bronco and large SUV comms. So worked very closely with Natalie on Lincoln, but decided to come over and hang out a little bit more with Jim. So excited to be here.
Well, careful what you wish for with that. But thanks for joining us. D-Rod, who we have decided has one of the top 2 greatest nicknames of all time, at least within Ford marketing. Dave Rodriguez, how's it going, man?
Hey, great, Jim. Thank you for having me on this illustrious panel.
Anytime.
It's fun. So yeah, Dave Rodriguez, happy to be part of this. I'm on our U.S. growth audiences team. We look at all the different opportunities between women, African-American, Hispanic primarily, and keeping an eye on all the emerging groups. I focus primarily on our U.S. Hispanic activity, and work with a lot of the great people on this panel here. And again, happy to be part of this. So thanks.
A lot of important work coming out of there lately, D-Rod, that's for sure. And last, Eric, how's it going?
Hey, Jim, thanks. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Renier, social media communications manager. So you may have heard of Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, even TikTok now for Ford. So I juggle the content across all of the channels in social media.
And you do an amazing job at it too.
Thank you.
Jim, I'm not being facetious when I say that. All right, shall we get into the questions now?
We shall. Let's get into it. What everyone has been waiting for.
Right. All right, so we'll do an individual question for everybody, just to give everybody like lay of the land in the format, but we're going to start off and end off with one for the group, right? So we'll just sort of go around and pick on people in random order. So first question for the group, as it relates to your team. So whether it's your direct team, the agency team, all of the different folks that all of us get to work with every day, And we like to start with something positive too, right? Like, what's the one thing that you're most proud of over the last 12 months? Because it's been a weird 12 months. So Darcy, we'll start with you.
Yeah, for me, I mean, obviously we've all been in the same boat having to juggle all these things. But for me, it's been being able to keep all these balls in the air, because I think the thing that we miss the most is that water cooler talk where I can just walk over to somebody's desk and have a conversation or anything like that. So to truly, embrace all these great technologies and things that we have and all these shortcuts on our digital devices, I think that has been huge, that we've not missed a beat and that we've been able to keep all this stuff moving, even though we're all so far spread out.
Yeah, that's so true. I think we all are missing the water cooler talk, but it is amazing how far we've been able to come in terms of just having those quick combos through technology in different places like social media and places that Eric Grenier manages. So what would be the thing that you're most proud of, Eric? That was a decent segue. Not great.
It was great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go. This is way out there, a little more obscure, but I'm most proud of the truck emoji. Believe it or not.
As well, you should be.
So yeah, many years in the making. The Unicode consortium that decides what becomes an emoji and what doesn't. Not easy to work with, but I had a great agency partnership, and we worked through all kinds of obstacles, and now everyone in the world has a truck emoji on their keyboard. So I'm
and they better be using it.
And they better be using it.
That's right. That's awesome. That you really should be really proud of that. That was amazing work. And there's a really good it was a podcast, right, with an accompanying article on the whole thing that if you look it up, you can find it. Eric was a guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was Planet Money.
Planet Money, that's it.
I'm not trying to plug myself. It was Planet Money though.
Planet Money, Google it, Eric Grenier.
It's a good, you'll get a good feel for other brands that are also active, and that's why I'm plugging it. It has nothing to do with me.
Eric, as I was using my reactions emojis to react to that, can we get like a truck reaction emoji into Zoom? Is that your next project?
I'll tell you what, you just wait about 4 years and we'll have it.
Okay, I'll be waiting.
It would be nice if it would be great. We get into Zoom, but not WebEx, so none of us can actually use it because Ford is primarily WebEx. All right, Molly, we'll go to the middle. Molly, what are you most proud of?
I mean, I think I speak for the larger group when I think we all had to pivot a lot of our strategies in the past 12 months. And so I think we all collectively did that and came out stronger. But I think more pointedly, working on the Lincoln team, and Natalie, I apologize if this is what you're going to be most proud of, but two of the ladies on our team, Natalie and then Randy Yasse, both had babies during this time. And so they went on maternity leave and came back. And I think I'm most proud of them for just being strong new mothers. And I think Kelly, the same for you on the Ford side as well. So I love to see what we're able to accomplish even remotely, because it's hard enough as is when you're in the office and coming back in, but having to do it remotely without the interaction of the team. So I would have to say that's probably what I'm most proud of.
Second that. Hard to that. You should have ended it with you, Molly. It's going to be tough to top that one. But Natalie, good luck.
Natalie, though.
Yeah, I was going to say Molly. Wow. But yeah, no, I think you nailed it on the head. And especially coming from the Lincoln team, we are such a tight knit team, and the biggest thing has been the flexibility on both the agency side as well as the Ford side, that they've given us this opportunity. And I don't know if I could have made it without the team coming back to work. And so really just being able to have that flexibility, the camaraderie via WebEx is really what we have is pretty amazing feat. And again, from just like the work perspective, we've had to make a lot of pivots, and I'm really excited for the second half campaign to be launching at this end of the year, because we're going to do some really cool and innovative things that we haven't done in the past. So we've been able to do it from both a work and a personal perspective. It's been a great opportunity.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Natalie.
And then we have D-Rod. Take us home, D-Rod. What are you most proud of?
I think I echo a lot of the themes that the team, mentioned. I mean, you know, as much as we've maybe overused the word pivot, I mean, it is maybe the, you know, the word of the last 13 months, just in terms of just, I mean, super proud of how, you know, on so many different aspects of the business. I mean, we've just, you know, turned on a dime and adjusted and moved plans around and all that type of thing. So, I mean, everybody, I think, is experiencing that. And, you know, I think we've gotten pretty good at it, which is pretty cool. And I think within all that, as some as you had mentioned, you know, the amount of work that we have gotten done virtually. I mean, if you would have said, hey, look, you're going to do all this virtual work 13, 16 months ago, and you would have said, I think no way, right? But it's so impressive that everybody's kind of rallied on this. And beyond the volume of work, to me, is just the quality of the results and just how the team has performed, you know, seeing how the, you know, we love our metrics, as everybody out there knows. And so just being able to deliver on all those fronts and bring home great work that performs, I think has been extra rewarding, particularly given the circumstances that everybody's had to operate under. So.
Awesome. Great answer. Pivot is the word of the year and also my favorite Friends episode. So we're
there you go.
Getting into the specifics. We'll start with you, Miss Molly. So 2022 is going to be a crucial year for our SUV lineup. You've been on the team now for a few days, so you're considered an expert. What is top of mind for you going into the fall?
You know, I think obviously the Bronco launch was huge for Ford Motor Company. A lot of excitement about that, still a lot of excitement. So I think continuing to sustain and build off of that momentum. And then just looking into next year with our broader SUVs, you know, they play such a critical role in the broader portfolio. And so kind of taking that energy and excitement from Bronco and extending it to the rest of the lineup. And, you know, Expedition will be a priority, of course. And so just kind of looking ahead at the total family of SUVs and the specific roles that they each play. But I think just continuing to build off that momentum that, you know, Erica and team did such a great job of capturing. And yeah, it's an exciting time to join Ford. So big shoes to fill, but I'm excited.
Awesome.
You're going to be great.
Fantastic. Already killing it. I'll say that with firsthand experience. Already killing it, Molly. All right, Natalie. Lincoln, big year for Lincoln this year already, but as you're thinking ahead to next year, what sort of big bets are you looking at moving forward?
Yeah, so we're going to continue to build our brand. So we did a lot of that this year. You'll see that a lot coming in the second half. And then we're going to continue that going into next year. So really upping our awareness tactics and trying new emerging things that I would say are different from the Lincoln perspective. We're going to have a video first strategy, which is different than what we've done in the past, and really start to go after our core, but also younger and opportunity audiences. And you know, the chip shortage has allowed us to do that. So it's a great opportunity for us as a brand to continue making sure that we're top of mind with our luxury CP consumers. So lots happening. We'll have some exciting launches next year. I think, you know, Navigator's going to be a big one. And then we'll have some other ones that are on the pipeline. So we're excited to tease that out going into next year.
Yeah, I gotta say, just looking ahead, even on the Ford side, as we finished this year, and it was a crazy year, right? With F-150 and Mach-E and Bronco Sport and Bronco Family and BFA happening soon and Maverick and the Lightning reveals and all crazy. And then we looked ahead, we're putting together next year, and we're like, next year's even crazier. Yeah. I don't know how that happened, but man, here we go. Like, this was just the warm up. So it should be some fun as we get into 2022.
So D-Rod, everything that Jim just said is a priority, and also growth audiences is a major priority, especially with our leadership team. So in terms of multicultural or women or kind of all of growth audiences, is there something in highlights that you're looking forward to most within the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. I think, for a lot of really good reasons. I mean, I think the company has, rallied around the opportunity with growth audiences, and, closely related to that, quite frankly, is DE&I types of initiatives, which, also super proud of how the company has embraced that and really working pretty diligently to make that part of the culture. So, it's great for us and, my team as it relates to just, now having so much advocacy within the company in terms of the opportunity and, quite frankly, a recognition of where we need to do better in terms of those types of audiences. So super encouraged about, the new trajectory that we're on as far as looking at it, much more holistically, much more inclusively in terms of, how our overall marketing efforts are more respectful and, mindful of the different dynamics within, be it AA, Hispanic, women, Latinas, just and a lot of great learning, right? I mean, we're doing a lot more research than we've ever done before and trying to just get super smart with those groups. So I'm really excited about that. And I think that, as it relates to new products that, Jim mentioned, things that we know are on the horizon, like the Maverick launch, just, a totally kind of white paper type of approach and just looking at that, very differently. And, my years with Ford, I think this is definitely going to be the freshest approach that we've had in terms of being inclusive of those audiences. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff, buckle up for the balance of the year. There's a lot of good stuff happening in that regard. So thanks.
Yeah, without a doubt, D-Rod, that Maverick is definitely going to be a bit of a game changer, I think, overall. And the entire showroom looking so different now this year compared to, even a few years ago. There's a lot more toys in that showroom for Darcy to take out on her Instagram adventures, right? So Darcy, as the unofficial Ford Instagram influencer, what sort of Insta trips do you have planned?
You're killing me. You are too funny. No, I mean, I am heading up to the UP this weekend to do some adventuring, but I must say that, since I'm managing the ambassador Bronco team, I feel like it's a little bit contagious. I just met with two of our ambassadors last night that were embarking on a 30-day road trip in a Bronco Sport and took a, impromptu kayaking trip. And just to hear about the lifestyle that these people live on a daily basis, I stare at a computer screen and talk on the phone, and they're out here, hiking and biking and rock climbing and ice climbing and, you name it, they're doing it all. So it's just, I want to try it all. I unfortunately don't have quite the time that they do, but I try to do what I can. So I'm in a perfect role right now to be able to take as many adventures as I can and have a cool vehicle along the way.
I think we just need to get you like an e-transit and a phone and say, go do your thing, Darcy.
I would love it. Absolutely. That'd be sweet. I am very envious of those adventurers, though. It's pretty cool.
Well, I want some UP tips when you get back because I'm headed there in a few weeks myself.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, Mr. Grenier. With all of the changes in social that have happened over the last year, I'm thinking about how we've shifted in reveals and how that entire process is so much different. A lot of the new changes with the platforms coming on. What are you most looking forward to capitalizing on for the balance of the year and into 2022?
Well, I think I hope we can say that we're sort of post-pandemic now at this point. But obviously I'll use Pivot. I think everybody else is. I get at least one shot at it too, right? Right. So everything that we were doing was all like canned content and, almost like, some of the live streams weren't actually live streams and, we didn't have those opportunities. And now we're starting to open up again. And I think we'll have more and more opportunities to actually get people into cars and be able to experience them in ways that they haven't. And that's the type of stuff that I think really plays well in social. So at least for my channel, it's, it's people interacting with cars, people, talent that could take cars out and capture some great moments. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And then, maybe some of the bigger reveals and launches down the road will have new opportunities that maybe we haven't had over the last, call it 18 months. So that's what I'm looking forward to most.
Great answer.
Thanks, Eric. All right, let's stick with Eric. We've got one last question for the group. Eric, we'll stick with you just to start it off. It's just a simple, fun question. What was the first non-quarantine thing that you did or that you're most looking forward to doing?
Oh, wow. I'll tell you what, the family for 4th of July, just this past 4th, the family all went up north for a tubing experience, a tubing adventure, if you will. So I don't know if you're asking for something professional, but personally, no. We got out, it was really comfortable. We were, there's a lot of people around, right? A lot of people on the river, you're sharing a big bus with a bunch of people and, which could be, somewhat uncomfortable in the midst of a pandemic, but we got to do that. And it was just, it felt a little freer than I think, I felt a little freer. And I think the rest of the family did too, more so than we have in some time. So that was a nice little getaway. I look forward to more of them. We're kind of, we feel like we didn't do enough vacation planning because of the uncertainty. So hopefully I can make a lot more moments like the one we just did.
Yeah, any of those opportunities when you're just around a bunch of people, I do find myself sort of taking a pause to go like, wait, can I do this? Oh yeah, I guess I can. All right. D-Rod, what about you? What was the most fun non-quarantine thing that you've done or you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar. We went to a wedding about a month or so ago, and I was there with my wife, and at a point at the actual ceremony, we kind of looked around and realized that no one had a mask on, and it was a real surreal moment. And it was kind of like what you were describing there, Jim. Looking around, it's like, wow, this is really happening. So it was such a great feeling. It was a great wedding. But it's just such a great feeling, and just, being around people and people kind of in an up moment and that type of thing. And then of course carried over to the reception and the dance floor, which was equally fun. And, yeah, good. That was just a real rejuvenating type of experience for us. Was able to get out on the golf course a little bit, as all this was happening too, which was also kind of fun. Yeah, I would say this wedding experience really kind of brought everything into context for us.
Yeah, it's amazing how those things that were so normal can become so much more fun when you just don't do them for a year and change.
No question. No question.
It's awesome. All right, Molly, what about you?
So we actually went to Austin about a month or so ago. We took my 2-year-old daughter, who has never been on a plane before. So we coupled the stress of traveling first time post-dish pandemic with traveling with a toddler for the first time. So it was double duty, but it was great. We got to visit family in Austin and had warm weather, and she was great on the plane. She was entertained and had her snacks and everything. So it was a success, but it was definitely nice to leave Michigan and see family we hadn't seen in a while. And yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. There's no greater adventure other than maybe what Darcy does than flying with a toddler. It's always a bit of a crapshoot. You just never know what you're going to get. So I'm happy to hear that you had a safe and relatively normal flight. So good for you. Natalie, you going to fly with George anytime soon?
That's the great debate. I have a work trip coming in a couple weeks in New York and debating if he should come or not. So that is something I'm struggling with, but not ready for that. But I think overall what has been great, because we played it super safe during the pandemic since I was pregnant. I'm just excited to go eat at a restaurant again and eat with friends at a restaurant. I haven't been able to do that in a very long time. So we have reservations at Bakersfield on Friday in Detroit. So I am super pumped. I think it's a 16-person reservation, which is unheard of in these type of days. So it's just those little things that I'm so excited for.
I love it. And you can never have enough tacos. So
or margaritas.
Yeah, or margaritas. That's right. So that sounds awesome. You're right, though. We did dinner. It was, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago for the first time. It seemed like in forever, and it was just amazing. It was really, really awesome. All right, Darcy.
So I think the obvious answer for me is travel. Super excited to go anywhere I can. It does not matter where, if it's local on a drive or a flight or international, you name it, I'm all over that. But another thing for me is it's going to be a gamble between what comes first, because I'm a huge sports fan and I'm a huge fan of music. So I don't know if I'm going to make it to a Tigers game or if I'm going to make it to a concert first. So one of those two, I'm super looking forward to actually being around the crowd. And because for me, it was rough watching sports and concerts and stuff without that audience and I don't know, it wasn't the same. So I'm really excited to to experience that. And then I know a few other people on the line will agree with me, but Michigan State tailgating in the fall. I cannot wait.
All amazing answers, Darcy, and I will be happy to go with you to any of those events because I am in the exact same boat. I have been dying for, whether it's a sporting event or a concert or anything.
Yes.
I've got tickets for some shows, and those days can't come soon enough.
For sure.
My money's on sporting events for Darcy. You want to take a bet, Jim?
Yeah, no, because you can hop down to the Tigers game like Thursday afternoon.
Oh yeah, my money's on sporting event.
For sure.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
We'll see it on Instagram. Money. Don't worry.
All right, let's get into some of the questions that were submitted by all of you. And you guys had some fun ones for us this year. Some ones we had to like think about. And I was like, I don't know how we're going to quite answer this, but we're going to try for you. And it's going to be entertaining as always. So D-Rod, we're going to start with you. So with the challenge of the chip shortage, how are you evolving your media mix to stay top of mind with consumers? And was this question going to Natalie? I don't remember. It was. Natalie, did you prepare for this one?
Let's hope so.
Sure.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sorry. That was my bad. Because as soon as I read the media mix question, I was like, Natalie's got this. All right, D-Rod, you're off the hook for a sec. We'll get back to you quickly. Miss Natalie, everything that I just said, challenge of the chip shortage, how are you evolving your media mix to stay top of mind with consumers, and how does that relate to your budgets?
So we have totally shifted our strategy, but it actually worked out to our benefit because we were already focusing our brand on branding in general for Lincoln, since we didn't have a ton of nameplate launches this year. So it actually worked in our benefit. And now we've been actually granted the approval and authority to do some other non-traditional aspects for Lincoln, which is great. So we're really looking at, how do we balance our traditional emerging media plans moving forward and kind of taking some bigger bets. So we have some exciting things happening in the second half, specifically targeting some opportunity audiences from a growth perspective that we typically wouldn't have been able to do in the past from a budget perspective. So we're really taking advantage of the situation and doing as much as possible so we can test and learn for our new tactics in the future. So we're making the best out of a situation since we don't have our typical volume to clear and have to balance the two, and budgets already are so tight as it is.
Understandable. I can attest from a global standpoint too. We're dealing with the exact same thing. As the audience knows, that the chip shortage is a global disaster. So it's affecting our European market, our Canadian market, certainly China, IMG as well. So yeah, it's kind of an all over thing, and we're trying to be as flexible as possible, but there isn't a whole lot there to work with. So yeah, we'll definitely keep the community up to date, if anything changes, but really just trying to remain flexible right now. I think Natalie's spot on. Okay, so keeping in kind of the chip shortage theme, so we'll ask Jim this question. How will the chip shortage impact advertising for 2021 models that may be coming to showrooms later in the year when technically 2022 launches? And will there be tier 2 massive sell down campaigns for these vehicles?
So the simple answer is I don't know, but I guess the more detailed answer is probably not, because almost every single vehicle that's on the ground right now is being sold, and usually they're being sold very, very quickly, right? So I don't know that there's a tremendous need for, a major push for some of those. I know that, we traditionally have a year-end event. I don't think that's going to change this year because I think everybody's awfully optimistic that we're sort of on the upswing of the chip shortage. But in terms of a massive sell down campaign, I don't see that being the case as we start to turn the corner on this one.
Got it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of unknowns right now. We're all just trying to process. Miss Darcy, what are the biggest learnings to come out of 2021 so far, and how do you plan on applying them next year?
This is a good one because there's plenty, and I will probably drop a lot of those buzzwords that we're all sick of at this point. But the biggest thing, be flexible, expect the unexpected. you know, we had things that were in the works for year, 2 years, and obviously everything just got completely derailed. So we had to pivot, as I had to throw that word in there again. But I mean, it really came down to, for us, because of like sponsorships that we have with brands or musicians or sports properties or media partners, it came down to really taking a closer look at our contract language and really reading that fine print. I mean, obviously we had all the fine print, but there wasn't necessarily a contingency that existed if an event just completely never happened. It may get postponed, or it may get, have to be modified in one way. But so I think that was a huge learning for us, was just to take a deep dive. And so I think as far as learnings for 2022, we're just moving forward. All of our agreements and contracts and everything are going to have a specific clause or a contingency in the event that something like this does happen. And I think we're also having to take a look through a different lens as far as virtual. One of the programs that we had to pivot was Drive for Your School, which is typically an in-person test drive opportunity at our local dealerships. And we actually made that into a virtual program at the end of last year. And we had a lot of success with it. So I just think it's also looking at things through a different lens and figuring out, nothing's ever going to compare to that in-person experience, but there is a big opportunity where you can expand your audience by doing things virtually as well.
Perfect. I love that. Every time you say pivot, I feel like David Schwimmer gets a royalty check somewhere. Man's got to eat, right? Eric, I like this question a lot. This next one that came in, just because I think when people think of social, a lot of times they think of that one-to-one communication with the consumer, but they don't necessarily think about feedback that we're gathering. It's not just like, hey, cool Mustang. It's also that very candid feedback that we're gathering. So how often does the marketing team receive customer feedback on path to purchase from consumers? And can you share an example of anything that you've implemented because of this customer feedback?
Path to purchase in social. So all I know is social. I know some other things. But so typically, obviously, we'll see spikes in interest and maybe even intent during launches and reveals and that sort of thing. We like to help people along. Obviously, we would encourage key buying activities at Ford, or key buying behavior. What we typically see, probably more so in paid social content, not so much in inbound commentary, is people asking, payload, towing, all the other kind of build-in price. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? So what we typically do is, we've got a number of different links that drive people to .com or something like that, or some other experience. And the way I guess that we've been implemented, or what has it changed for us, is just really, really detailed, smart, you might even say aggressive response plans in social to help people get to where they want to go. The beauty of it is that we've done this so much that we can anticipate what's going to be asked, what's going to come in that next big launch. What are some of the key questions that people will be asking? So, so we're a little more prepared, but, always working to improve that process. And, and I hope that there might even be people listening right now that have, been helped along to find something that they otherwise wouldn't have found without, a social listening team on the case. So.
Love that. Great answer. Jim, you want to take us through some of the next few?
Sure. All right, Molly, this one came in. We've got this label for you. I'm happy to ham and egg it though with you if you want to. The question is, in this evolving media environment, what's the one thing that is continually on your mind?
Yeah, great question. Even pre-pandemic media environment's always evolving, right? And so it just evolved even more drastically during the pandemic, right? But I think the one thing that's on my mind when I think about all of these changes that come, whether it be a new and exciting platform or something, is when these new opportunities arise, does it make sense for the brand, and does it make sense for our customers? So I think what we've done a good job of, and in my experience most recently on the Lincoln team, is going to customers and doing customer research and kind of doing a short-term / long-term look and seeing, how do they consume media? You know, obviously through the pandemic and beyond, things have changed, but, you know, what's that long-term strategy look like? Because we want to be relevant, right? It's easy to want to take advantage of some of these new opportunities that arise, but I think it has to make sense for the brand and it needs to make sense for our customers. So I think it's just kind of having that balance of a short-term strategy, but also thinking more longer term and what makes sense and how and where we talk to our customers.
Yeah, I think that how is so critical, right? Like, you know, we'll see all the time about there's tremendous reach on a certain platform or something like that, but how are the consumers actually using it? And then how can we as a brand most credibly and also appropriately interact with those consumers on that platform? Is it even the right thing for us to do? Should we even be there? I think is one of those first questions we have to ask. And then I think just overall with the overall environment, the other thing that's really been on my mind is just flexibility. And Darcy touched on it a little bit earlier too, but you know, the agility that we've needed to have as a business to shift back and forth based on, you know, COVID last year, the chip shortage this year, and being able to move money where it was best serving the business overall was critical for us and something that we're going to have to continue to maintain as we move forward. So yeah, definitely good call there. All right, D-Rod, here's one for you. And I'm happy to jump on some of this stuff too. So as we look at media shifting in 2021, upfront audiences, right? And we're looking at different things like OTT and CTV. What are your thoughts from a growth audience perspective on connecting with your audience? And let's just maybe make that a little bit of a broader perspective, and then I'll dig into some of these granular details. Like from a growth audience perspective, connecting with people through video overall, right? Like where's your head at as you go into next year and think about, you know, the different ways we can connect with the audience via video?
Yeah, I mean, great topic, great theme area. I think what makes it exciting for us within the growth audience team is that, you know, if you take the audience first type of perspective, we know how our audience is over-indexed as it relates to the consumption of that media, in terms of in all of its forms, you know, primarily into the mobile space. So we know that it's a growing area, and we know it's a high interest, high engagement, you know, medium and message, I guess, approach. So in some ways it's tailor-made to, you know, us as it relates to strategy and content and media builders from that standpoint. I can say also, just in terms of within the growth audience spaces, what's been also very, very encouraging is how the availability of metrics and tracking and benchmarking has, you know, dramatically improved. I think we've been a little bit on the slower end of the curve just in terms of getting, you know, established and syndicated metrics on that side of the equation. So there's more and more of that available to us as it relates to video performance and those types of things. So I think that just helps us make the plan smarter. We're able to build bigger and better business cases, which are, you know, still very important in order to get plans approved and budgets and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, I think it's nothing but, I think, open opportunity for us, and, you know, ideally another area where we're getting smarter and smarter.
Yeah, that measurability is key, right? That you talk about. And just to address the specific question there of the upfront and our approach there in terms of CTV and audiences and things like that, I can just say that the overall upfront strategy will be drastically different going into next year as it has been in the past. So without going into too much, like we're very focused on audiences where we can have that overall addressability and that ability to measure what's going on. It has to be the area of focus, which also lends itself to far more flexibility as we progress throughout the year as well. So the overall strategy has to change, and it will. So that's really, it's exciting, frankly. That's going to be a lot of fun as we progress into next year. All right, Kel, here's one for you. Gas prices are going up. I don't know if you've noticed. I actually haven't driven that much to pay that much attention to it, but they are higher now. So gas prices are up. Do you think we're going to start making sedans again?
You know what, Jim? I took my media comms media training, and let me see if I can do them proud. We are not able to speculate on future products.
There it is. Perfect. Perfect. You nailed it. That was like verbatim. Every word you had to say, you got it right.
Been practicing.
Perfect. All right, good. All right, Eric, here's a good one for you. Thinking about non-auto brands, who in social do you think does a great job with consumers?
So I'm going to interpret that as like kind of from a service perspective, a care perspective, as opposed to, maybe, who markets well. But
well, I was going to say there's probably two pieces of that one, right? So yeah, I think the first one is you just nailed it. But then I think the second one is like, who do you think just does really cool stuff?
Well, I think that, so a couple that come to mind are, pretty well known out there in the industry. Xbox stands out, or Xbox support, because it's obviously some complicated issues, tech issues. It's super high volume, but they're really responsive, and they must have this like really smart, I don't know if anybody has an Xbox and they have issues of their own. I'm not saying that I do, but I might have, had to service a couple of things along the way for my kids. But they have an intelligent algorithm that basically says when somebody's asking this question, they're really asking you this question. They have this way of being able to sort out the issues that their customers are dealing with. I think Chipotle is really great. They're like just very adept in social listening and their own response, and they do some news jacking and have some fun with it. I will say that, as everyone knows, fast food, it's kind of got it easy. We don't need to get into that, but they could do just about whatever the heck they want. I'm sure people have been on Wendy's or Taco Bell or something like that. They just let it all hang loose. Of course, the doorbells ringing. The last one, Hulu, I think is out there just because they're like your buddy. They're really great at just responding in a way that's informal and conversational and just relatable. And then they're also really effective, like they can answer your questions, but it's more like kind of a chit chat between friends. So all of those are just, those brands seem to, what they're doing resonates with their client base. And they all just seem to be doing it really, really well. And they understand their space probably better than a lot of other brands.
Awesome. And you mentioned Chipotle, so now I really want some lunch.
And and Wendy's was the first one that came to mind for me when you were talking about from a marketing perspective. And then there was a recent interaction that's going viral now between Delta and Corona that was very relative to what's happening now too. It's interesting to watch.
Yeah, there no doubt that there's some really exciting things. I mean, I think brands are starting to volley a bit more these days in ways that they weren't doing in a really stiff way, like way back when, and it's starting to evolve and become more natural, more organic. So in fact, we had a little bit of a volley today between our new Maverick and Oreo thins. So just go out there and check it out.
All right.
Another plug, man, I'm plugging.
Making me hungry. Okay, we're going to wrap things up. I think I'll answer one last question, a great question that came in. Tell us more about the e-vehicle plans, launch dates, and when you can foresee Ford being completely electric. So we have not announced when Ford vehicles will be completely electric just yet. However, we are investing $22 billion with a B, through 2025. You all know of the great iconic products that we're electrifying, including Mustang Mach-E, F-150 Lightning, E-Transit, and there's lots more to come. We do have some goals in place. 40% of our vehicles will be electric by 2030, and then we also do aim to be completely carbon neutral globally by 2050. So hopefully that gives you a sense of a little bit more of our ambition and kind of where our electrification strategy is headed. So yeah, Jim, do you want to close us out?
No, just thank you to everybody for submitting questions, for being at the event, and thank you to the panel. Appreciate you guys taking some time today to hang out.
Absolutely, it was fun.
All right, everybody have a
Thanks
great day of golf. And hopefully we'll see everybody soon. Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye.